My life is crumbling.
Things are not perfect.
You just have to go really hard.
That's a foxhole moment, I guess.
So we want to dive deep into the trenches.
I don't want to be normal. I don't want to be like this.
Everything's sacrificed when you're trying to build a business.
Yeah, I want that.
We'll see how deep in the foxhole we get.
Welcome back to another episode of In the Foxhole. I'm your host, JC Chanowsky.
And I'm Angela Schroeder.
Well, hello, Angela.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm great.
Awesome.
I'm excited for our guest.
Yes, we have a local legend in our area, a gentleman that I have worked with for years, has done my marketing. We still use the videos that he made for us years ago because we cannot find anybody to do it any better. So welcome, Tommy Richardson.
I don't know about local legend. I don't know about that, but I appreciate the kind words. Thank you very much.
Well,
I like it.
You're a legend in my eyes, especially when it comes to marketing, Tommy.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
How are you today?
I'm doing good, man. Just had lunch. Kids just got home from preschool. Everybody's upstairs. Everybody in the house is probably going to be asleep by the time this podcast is over with, but me.
There you go.
And then I'm headed to the gym this afternoon before my 4 o'clock meeting that I have.
My man, I'll be hitting up the gym after this call as well, too. So I'm excited. I slept in a little today, a long day of traveling yesterday, the day prior. But I didn't want to go in there half ready. So I decided to sleep in and just get all my energy ready for this afternoon. So
there you go.
Yes, sir. Well, Tommy, I've worked with you for years now. We've had many conversations. We've even recorded a podcast ourselves and had dinner with the family. But some of our viewers may not know who you are. So if you would, just go ahead and tell them about yourself.
Yeah. So first and foremost, obviously, my name is Tommy Richardson. I'm a father. I'm a husband, business owner. I'm a veteran, served in the United States Army with 82nd Airborne. I got 2 beautiful kids, a beautiful wife, and 1 more kid on the way due July 9th. So we're about 8.5 weeks away from just adding to the chaos inside of our house. I've owned my second company that I've owned. My first one was NUBS Media. Sold that in October 2022, which is how you and I met, JC, was when I was running that company. We did a lot of content creation, a lot of like organic social media posting type of stuff. And I just got to a point where I was just exhausted with it. I was tired. We had 2 kids. I was traveling all over the country. I was going 15, 20 days out of the month. And I was like, somebody else can take over the reins on this one. So I sold that in October 2022. January of last year, started my new company, which is more the consulting and coaching side of things, of teaching business owners how to actually do the marketing themselves and how to plan it and predict it and forecast what it is that they're trying to accomplish and how much money they have to spend. And now it's funny. Now we're adding the marketing portion back into our company again because so many people are asking us to just do it after we work with them for a couple months. So I'm like, I just can't get away from it. But I mean, it's a good problem to have, right? So we're kicking that off. We already have 7 clients working with us, and we just opened it up about 2 weeks ago. So things are going really well. I'm excited. But yeah, that's me in a 2-minute nutshell, man.
That's awesome, man. Typical entrepreneur, you've got life happening, about to have your 3rd baby. Why not start another business?
I started my first one in the middle of COVID. So, why not, right?
Seizure.
Yes, entrepreneur seizure, yes.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I enjoy it. It's fun. I mean, I haven't deviated much from what I did when I first got started into my professional career. Like I was always in sales. So I sold cell phones for Verizon. I sold cars at a Chevy dealership. And then I sold houses when I moved here to Wilmington. And then, when Hurricane Florence hit in 2018, I was like, I'm probably not going to be selling many houses in the next couple of months. I might want to find another way to make some money because I had a daughter that was supposed to be here February 19, and Florence hit late August, early September 2018. And I was like, I've got to make some blessed money. Which is actually how I got hooked up with my buddy Justin Woodruff, who ran Ready Roofing at the time, and I ended up becoming the marketing manager. Unfortunately, we were both so dumb and ignorant to marketing, we had no idea what we were doing, so we could make mistakes, and we thought we were doing a great job. So, which is kind of, it's funny. I tell people, when they ask me how did I get into doing video content and marketing, I tell them I was like, well, I lied my way into it. Because he asked me, he goes, hey, do you know how to shoot video? I was like, of course I do. What are you talking about? It can't be that hard. And then he asked me if I knew how to edit it. And I was like, sure, I'll figure that out. That's no big deal. And then literally taught myself how to do everything from watching YouTube videos. But when I had a daughter who was doing like 5 months, I had to find a way to go make some blessed money. I didn't have another choice. So, I mean, I might have lied my way into it, but, you know, I'm telling the truth now.
And that's an awesome start. I think we always, you know, everyone has a different path to entrepreneurship and why you became a business owner and what that is. And yours was like, find a way, you know, you're going to grind and find a way and make a way for your daughter. And now you've transitioned. I mean, in the beginning, you were helping that too, but not only getting to be an entrepreneur, but you get to help other business owners be more successful in their businesses too, which I think is so much fun.
Yeah, I enjoy it. You know, coming from the world of actually doing the marketing, it's one of the things I learned is that, and JC, you're a home service contractor. So, you know, I kind of like serve that realm of people. You know how to do your job very, very well. Like if you're a roofer, you know how to go sell a roof and how to get it installed and how to make sure that you have a good warranty on it and everything looks good. Same thing with an HVAC or a plumbing company or a pressure washing company or whatever it is. You got into that because you were good at that skill, most likely, right? Or it's a generational type of thing. Mm-hmm. And then you go hire a marketing company. You're like, go get me more leads. And it's just not that simple. It's not as simple as just going to go hire a crew to go install a roof. There's a little bit more to it. And a lot of young business owners who have never been through that before, they just don't understand that side of it. And that's where I saw a lot of contention between marketing companies and home service contractors doing this. It's like, oh, all marketing companies suck. They're all terrible. Or the marketing companies like, oh my God, working with roofers or whatever, it is awful because they expect the world and they're not willing to give you anything. You know, and it's like, there's got to be a way that we can all play nice in the sandbox together. Right. Like, how can we do that? And that's kind of why I got into the coaching side is I really wanted to start bridging that gap between the marketing company and the contractor, because there is a way that we work together, but we both have to be willing to give something in order to make it work. You can't just say, go get me more leads. And then when they get you more leads, then you say, well, they're not good enough. Well, you didn't tell me what a good enough lead was. So how am I supposed to know what a good enough lead is if you don't tell me?
That's right.
So, but that's the contractor's responsibility to know what that looks like. And whereas the marketing company, it's their responsibility to track everything the way that it's supposed to be done and report and communicate thoroughly with the contractor. So I think, and you can ask anybody that I've worked with, once we start bringing these things up and we start bridging that gap, they're like, oh, that makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that communication is key. I see it a lot in the pressure washing, window cleaning industry, where a lot of companies will jump from marketing company to marketing company, and they'll just stay here, point fingers, and say, "Well, they sucked, and they sucked, and they sucked." But they're also probably not providing the things that they need to be successful for them, and they're probably also not doing many other things, because I know many companies who work with these companies, the same companies that they said suck, are doing great for them. So. You know,
they don't know what success looks like, JC. That's the problem, right? Like, you have to define what success looks like in marketing. And if you can't define it, then you're never going to be happy with whatever we produce. Mm-hmm. And then you also have to have realistic expectations to get to that success. I think it's weird. Everybody that starts a company is like, well, we're not going to get there in a year. It's going to take 5 years. We got a 5-year plan for our business to get us there. But when you go hire a marketing company, you have a 5-day plan.
Yeah.
And it's like it doesn't work that way. Like, because you're competing against guys that are doing, if you're in the roofing industry in Wilmington, North Carolina right now, you're going up against guys who are doing $20-30 million a year in revenue. Mm-hmm. And you're coming in brand new. You can't expect to compete with them. Your expectations have to be different. Your marketing has to look different as well. So, and like I said, that's why I started doing what I was doing, is to bridge that gap and make sure that people understand, like, there's your dream, which is way up here, which is great. I love that. But we're down here, and there's no fast track to get there unless you just come into a very, very large sum of money.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that, because marketing can be, like you said, just this. For business owners, it isn't their strength, their craft is, not just in home service, the other ones, and marketing can be this just like mystic magic hole. So it's awesome what you're doing to bridge that gap. Before we dive into some struggles in business and the foxhole, why don't we talk about a win you're celebrating, either in business or in life?
So for me, just opening up the other side of the company from consulting and doing the marketing again is a big win. Like business wise, that's a huge win for me right now because I vowed to never do it again. So it might not be a win. I don't know, but it feels like one right now. So that's a big win from the business side. From the personal side, I'm not trying to get like too like mushy, but you're asking me what a win is. So here we go. I'm just going to give it to you. Me and my dad. So my dad is a very hard, like emotions stay inside. He doesn't really talk about stuff. And, you know, I've been struggling with a bunch over the course of the last couple of months. And this past weekend went up with my dad back home. And I was like, Dad, do you want to go for a walk real quick? So there's 100 acres behind our house. And we just go for a walk back there. And we started walking. And dude, it's like, I don't know if you've ever like, you need to like talk to somebody and you just get that sick feeling in the pit of your stomach. Cause if you don't do it, you're like going to throw up type of thing. Well, that kind of hit me as I was walking with him. And I was like, I just need to tell him like what's going on. And I told him what was going on. And he goes, dude, I get it. Cause I struggled with the same thing about 10 years ago. Here's what I did to help get myself through that. And it was just like, so personal win, it was just huge because now me and my dad can like have deeper conversations other than, hey, did you watch the race on Sunday? You know, so from a personal standpoint, that's a huge win for me.
That's awesome. That's a huge bonding moment for the two of you. Sounds like it's not something that's normal. So it's a great break.
I don't want to tell the whole story because I'm going to get emotional if I tell the entire story. And that's not what we're here for right now.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that win, man. That's a huge win for you and Pops. And excited to hear more about the conversations in the future as well, too.
Yeah.
All right, Tommy. Well, let's talk about the stuff that, you know, most people don't want to talk about, the anti-highlight reel business. You see too many people talking about all the success, the 7 figures, the wins, but they don't talk about all the struggles it took to get there. So let's talk about maybe 1 or 2 foxhole moments where you're in the trenches, you're down, you're tapping, you're ready to just wave that white flag and get out. You know, what was going on in your life and your business at the time, and how were you able to overcome that?
Yeah, so we were about, a year and a half deep into running NUBS Media. So this was January of last year, I think. Yeah, it was January of last year. It was me. My mom was working for me. My sister was working for me. I had a Google guy and I had a sales guy. So there was 5 paychecks that I had to pay every month. And we also had rent because I got an office in Wilmington, which was the dumbest decision I ever made in my life.
But it sounded good at the time, right?
It sounded phenomenal. I was like, oh, I'm legit because I have an office. And now it's like, yep, that's also a legit bill that you have to pay every month. Didn't really factor that into it. And man, we were just struggling, dude. Like I had $18,000 in payroll I had to pay every month, including myself with the other 4 people. No, it was $20,000. It was $20,000 in payroll between 5 of us. And we were bringing in $15,000 a month. You can do some pretty easy math on that and figure out that we ain't going to make it very long. I had a line of credit that went up to $20,000 that I ended up maxing out very quickly. Almost ran out of money come March. And it was all because like I checked out. I was just like, I'm exhausted. I am tired. I'm done. Like I can't keep I was waking up at 3 o'clock every single morning, like clockwork, waking up at 3 o'clock and my brain would go and I would get to work and I would work from 3 o'clock in the morning until like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 days a week. And even on the weekends, like I had, you know, my daughter was here and she was almost 2 at the time. And then my son was almost born because he was born in May of 2022. So, you know, like I was exhausted on the weekends. I had no energy. I was putting like that fake smile on, like, hey, I'm happy. Everything's good. Like we're hunky dory, right? You know, and I probably called 5 different people and asked them if they wanted to buy my company in the first quarter of 22, in the first quarter of 22, because I was just done. I had nothing else left to offer the business. And then I just kind of muddled through the summer, just kind of kicking the can down the road type of deal where you're like, we own a company. People are getting paid. Yay. I'm happy. Whatever. I hate my life. This sucks. I'm done. And what I found out was I had accomplished what I wanted to do with NUBS Media. I set out and I did it. I accomplished it. And it's like, as soon as I got there, my brain was like, all right, you're done. On to the next thing. And it's like I checked out because I was already on to the very next thing that I wanted to go do, which is what I'm doing now, right? And what I had to do is I had to bring myself back into reality and just be like, I can't stop running the business. I can't stop serving the clients because I have 4 other people that are depending on me to pay them every single month. I had 2 people who moved out of state to come here and work for me. Like I have to make this work. I have to find a way. So that's what I did, man. I buckled down, even though it sucked and I hated it and I didn't want to do it. I did it because I had other people depending on me, and it was very selfish of me to just to be like, I'm done, peace out. Like that's the most selfish thing I could have done. And I just decided not to be that guy. And but yeah, that's probably the lowest moment I think I ever had in business was like that 4-month stretch between about January, February of 22 until about April, May, when my son was born of that same year. I just kind of kicked the can down the road, essentially is what I did.
Yeah, that's hard, Tommy. I've been there with the pressure washing. Same thing. I mean, last year I just slapped a Band-Aid on it and said, just do what you got to do with it until we can get the Christmas lights. I wanted nothing to do with it. And if somebody would have bought it for a half-eaten Snickers, I probably would have sold it.
Yep.
It just brought me no joy and pleasure, and there was no excitement in it. That's recently changed over the last few months, but I completely get it. It's just like no matter what you do or what you're trying to do to keep it alive and going, it's just like, I don't care. Like, just get rid of it. Just figure this out. I don't want to deal with it.
And I did it to myself. Like, that's the one thing that I want a lot of business owners to understand is, like, from my perspective, I did this to myself. Nobody did this to me. Right. So like when I started the company, I wish people told me this, and I wish I would have listened. And hopefully your listeners will listen to this. Don't say yes to everything when you start your company, because it will screw you over, because people talk. And they're like, well, he did it for me, he'll do it for you. And now that's the expectation, right? And when that expectation gets set of things that you're willing to do, it is very, very hard to pull the reins back on those expectations with your clients, especially with mine, because they're retainer clients, right? So they're working with me every single month. Yeah. And my business could not survive without my presence. That's where I screwed up. If I was not on site filming, the business fell apart. Like I couldn't send somebody else out there. They're like, no, I want you, because they're getting you.
Yeah.
So I want you. And it's like, okay, I guess I have to, because I have to go make money. Like, I got to make ends meet. And that's what I did, is I never said no to anybody. And I ran my company basically where if my presence was required in order for it to be successful, which is not how you're supposed to run your business, by the way. Your business should be able to run itself without your presence, because you have the systems and the processes in place, and you have people that you trust, and a culture within your company where it will run very effectively and smooth. Like, for instance, like Angela, you run the VA company. I have a VA through you guys. Greatest decision I ever made in my life. Literally made my life a million times better once we started doing that last year in October, right? Like, she takes care of everything that I don't like to do. And I love it. It's great, right? So that's what I'm talking about. Like, I don't have to be in front of my email for things to get done, because my VA knows how I talk, knows how I respond, knows my clients, and she can respond in a way that makes sense. And then she just puts it on my to-do list and sends me a text the next day and says, get this done. So it's like that's what I mean by your business should be able to operate without you being there.
Yeah.
And once I figured that out and I tried to start pulling the reins back on it, all my clients walked away from me. All of them. So that's how I went from a $40,000 a month business to a $15,000 a month business, is because I set boundaries with my clients. And they didn't like it, so they canceled contract.
Do you think that clear communication in the beginning and setting those expectations for your community or your services with the client is really important to be able to set those boundaries with your clients, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, and that's a huge lesson that I learned with the first one before we started running this one, right? Because I just didn't say no, because I was so desperate to go make money to make it work. I'm like, I'm going to make it work no matter what it does. And guess what, JC? I end up traveling 20 days out of the month every single month. So I'm hardly ever home.
Right.
You know, like I'm leaving my house at 4 o'clock in the morning, getting back at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I'm working until 5 o'clock to try to get videos edited out. And that's literally what I do probably 4 days a week. So I'm exhausted. I'm driving 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours to get to these people. So not only am I tired, not only am I overextending myself, but I'm not charging more for the freaking driving that I have to go do. So I'm almost breaking even on everything that I'm doing.
Yeah.
So it's like literally every possible mistake that I could have made, I made. And it put me like, I didn't get to the point where I was so stressed that I was like, you know, like I couldn't focus on being with my family. Like, I don't think I ever really got to that point. That comes later because I'm going to tell you that's this second story once we get through this one. But I never quite got to that point because I was always like, well, we've never not made it before.
Mm.
So we're going to, we're just going to make it. Like, I mean, somehow, some way, something's going to happen. And it did. Something happened. A buyer came, offered me 6 figures for my company. I freaking took it and said, deuces. They put that offer on the table. I said, send the contract right now. I'll take it. Let's go. Signed the contract, paid off. 90% of my debts got paid off with that amount of money that I had. My employees were taken care of. Wells Fargo Bank was taken care of. We were taken care of. And I wiped my hands clean and stepped away from it. And whew, slept good that night.
Well, you were in a problem that, you know, like you said, you got yourself in, but a lot of business owners do. In that, like, first purgatory, not first, but one of the big purgatories of starting a business and then building it is that you're in this cycle of you're self-employed, you're not running a business. Like you said, the whole business required you. And for the business to grow, for the business to function, everything required you. And that is a step in a business, whether it be with the VA or building the rest of your team, that until your business can make money without you doing the action to make the money, you don't really have a business. You just have a job for yourself. And it will burn you out. You know, you'll burn out before. So you got to figure that step out.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
You did for the second one.
Yeah, the second one, I figured it out real quick. That didn't take long at all in the second one because I set the expectations very quickly, which is what leads me to the next foxhole moment that I'm still currently walking through right now. And I think this is not, business owners don't talk about this enough, in my opinion. And this is going to be extremely, in my opinion, controversial to talk about, but I don't care. I'm talking about it anyways, because it's something that's important to me, and you can delete it off the podcast if you want to. Don't make a difference. But what happens once you get to what you defined as success? What happens once you get to that point? So for me, my definition of success is I work 20 to 30 hours a week. I have time with my kids, and I'm making enough money to where I don't have to worry about anything. Well, guess what? That's where I am now. I have more time than I've ever had in my professional career. I make more money than I've ever made in my professional career. And I'm more stressed than I've ever been in my professional career. Why? Why is it that now that I have everything that I want, that I'm ridiculously stressed out? Like, you know, I've had 4 panic attacks in the past 8 months. Right? Like, why is it? What's going on? Like, why are we now at this point? Whereas when I should have been the most stressed in my life, when the company was going downhill and I had 4 other people that were dependent on me and their families, like, that didn't stress me out. I was perfectly fine there. Well, whatever. I was asleep by 9 o'clock every night. Woke up at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. Felt great. I was good. Had a smile on my face. Didn't worry about nothing. But now I think it's because I have the time. Like, your brain doesn't shut off when you're in the chaos. JC, you and I were talking about this earlier today. I thrive in chaos. And when there's no chaos, I create chaos.
Yes. Yes.
Which is more stress and anxiety, and sends me down this road that I'm on now of learning how to operate inside of what I defined as success. Now, how do I operate that? Like, how do I just go enjoy a walk on the beach at 10 o'clock in the morning when I never used to be able to do that? Which, by the way, that's what I did this morning. It was very nice. You know, like, how do I enjoy, like, I've never worked from home as much as I do right now. It's like, usually I used to leave, I would go to work, I would come back home, and that was that, right? You know, like, I can take my kids to school every day. I can pick my kids up from school most every day. I can play with them in the afternoons. Why am I so stressed? You know, so that's something that I'm kind of walking through right now. And this is the foxhole that I'm currently in that I am getting help for, right? Like, you know, like I said, my dad struggled with some of this. So I have my dad that I can talk to now. I go see a therapist. I'm not going to sit here and try to deny that. I 100% do. You know, I go to the gym. I get workouts in to try to release that stress and get it out of my system. You know, my wife and I pray together. You know, I have my church family that I can lean on as well. So I have all the support there to help me walk through it. But it's right here in between the ears is what we have to fix.
So that is, I have a couple books for you.
Sweet.
I'm going to send you after this. They're exactly on this topic. And JC knows that I'm passionate about this. I talk about it a lot and is my current keynote in how, as entrepreneurs, like this is another big purgatory. We thrive in chaos and we love it. Like it's a thing. We are addicted to the adrenaline of chaos. And so it fuels us. We are happy in it. We love solving the problem. And it is the thing that if you don't have a problem in your business, you create one. Like people get, so at least you're not doing that. Applaud yourself for that.
Yeah, I'm just creating it in my personal life where everybody else has got to deal with it.
Because so that is a thing that if you don't have chaos in your life, and don't learn to, which I mean, you have recognized it. Awareness is the first step. But that you thrived in chaos and it feels good. It feels good to solve problems and have a problem to solve. Like then you know what your mission is. Like that fuels your fire when you're solving problems. And if you don't have a problem to solve in your business, if your business doesn't look like chaos, a lot of times, and that's why we have problems in our relationships as business owners, whether it be with our kids, our significant other relationships, we go create chaos somewhere else. Because we thrive in that chaos. So being aware of it is the first step. There's all kinds of interesting theories out there that I love of how you can deal with it until you learn to like be happy in peace, like in what peace feels like in your body and live in that. Then how can you create until you learn that? Like that's a skill. I don't think I'm there yet for sure. But how can you create chaos in a way it's not going to hurt your business or other people?
Yeah.
How
or
can
yourself.
you create a chaos for you to solve?
Yeah. No, and I'm, like I said, I'm kind of walking down this road. And one of the things that I'm learning is like, it's like a lot of people, like my dad talking with him, you know, he talked about how he has what's called OCD. And when we talk about OCD, we think about, oh, everything's got to be organized. Everything's got to be in its place. That's not OCD. That's just the result of it. Yep. Right. OCD is a lot deeper than that. Mm-hmm. Right? It's like, it's the intrusive thoughts that come into your head. It's, you know, like all those, because that's what I get. I get horrible intrusive thoughts that enter my brain just all the time during the day. And what's weird is like with my dad, he was like, yeah, I struggle with like sitting on the back porch. Like, oh my God, what am I going to do if a snake comes up here on the back porch? And I'm like, well, I can solve that problem. Just walk inside. Right. Like, it's not hard. Whereas with me, I'm sitting here like now that I have 3 young kids, like I say I have a third because he's going to be here shortly. But now that I have 3 young kids, it's like now I focus more on my health and my wellness. Am I okay type of thing? Like, am I going to be here for the long run for my kids to be able to take care of them? And like I said, JC, I was telling you about this earlier. It's like every little thing that I feel, I'm like, am I okay? Am I good? Was that a heart attack? You know, and none of it's true. Like that's the thing. And there's a biblical principle behind this where it says the heart is deceiving. The heart will deceive you into believing what is not true. So the mind has to lead the train and then the heart will follow. Like that is a biblical principle. So it's like, okay, if that's the case, then I've got to retrain my brain how it processes when these things come in. So what does that look like? So now I'm on that journey of reprogramming my brain. Yep. Like if I feel my heart kind of beat like through my chest a little bit, I have to remember like, hey man, like Sometimes you're going to feel your heartbeat when you're just sitting down. It's okay. It's going to happen. Dude, you're 10% body fat. You're going to see your pulse in some weird areas of your body, right? Like, it's going to happen. When I'm laying down in bed and I'm super relaxed, I might feel my heartbeat, but that doesn't mean anything's wrong. You know what I mean?
Relax.
Do what?
You're calm and relaxed.
Yeah, I'm relaxed. Everything's fine. Why do I? So it's like, hey, you can feel your heartbeat. You're good. You're calm. Just go to sleep. Just go to sleep. But dude, those are the things, like right now, that's kind of the path that I'm walking down and the struggles that I have. And that's the foxhole I'm in business is I have everything that I want. So I create the chaos into my personal life. And it's like, no, I have to learn how to be happy inside of that piece. Mm-hmm. Be happy with the success. Like when we first started all of our companies, we had an idea what success looked like for ourselves. Why are we not happy once we get there? And I think it's because in our brains, we're like, well, we're never going to be where we think we can be, which brings us, dude, we can go down this whole road, guys. I'm really trying not to go down a massive rabbit trail here. But like now you start getting into, am I doing enough? Am I enough? And all those different things. And that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother podcast. Right. But that's a dangerous place to end up if you allow your brain to go that far.
Yeah. Tommy, one thing that I found out last year with Patriot Elimination, we had this goal of hitting success, which was 7 figures, and we wanted to get there for years. And then when I got there and I hit it, there was no satisfaction out of there. There was no joy. There was no like celebration, even though there should have been, because it was a huge milestone to hit. But deep down, after thinking about it, that really wasn't my goal for success. It was just what I wanted to say we were able to do in our market in the lighting industry. And it was more of like a bragging point, if you will, to say we hit 7 figures. But deep down, like after we got there, I'm like, well, this sucks. Now we're not going to do it again because it wasn't any fun. And we want to I'm going to realign our goals for success this year because there's no joy. There's no satisfaction out of that. And I just didn't feel good at the end of the year about it, even though we did what we wanted to do. It was just internally, I was beating myself up and eating myself alive because there was no success there for me.
Yep. I get that. I get it. Like, I mean, why did I want to only work a 20-hour work week? Why? Like, what's the point? Like it's okay if you work 40 hours a week. A lot of people do. A lot of really cool people do that every single week, Well, it's like, so I can spend more time with my kids. It's like, yeah, but am I?
Right.
Am I? Because the kids get home at 12:30, right? I'm usually done working, but they go upstairs to go take a nap. Okay. Well, they take a nap and I kind of goof around a little bit. I just had lunch. I want my food to settle. Go to the gym around 2:00 in the afternoon. I get home at 3:30. Well, the kids want to go play outside. Okay, cool. They go play outside and I just sit there and watch my kids play. But it's like, am I actually spending more time with the kids or am I just sitting around watching more things happen? So it's like, am I actually living the success? Dude, this is like a really good therapy session right now, by the way. Am I actually in the success that I said of spending more time with the kids? And it sounds like to me, the answer is no. So it's like, okay, now put the same amount of intention that you put in your business when you were working 40 hours a week. Put that onto your kids and focus on them and go spend time with them and make memories with them. Because now you have 20 and 20 that you can spend of those work days. And if that's the case, then why not go all in with that same level of intention?
That's right.
And I think when you're like, is that success? Is this what I wanted? There can be so many similar situations, like what you thought success looked like. You thought what you were supposed to want is to want to work 20, 30 hours a week to spend time with kids, like JC saying, I wanted to have $1 million year in Christmas lights. Like we just put this goal there because it sounded good when it was somebody else's goal. Like that sounds good to work 20 and 30 hours a week and to spend time, like you said, with the kids. But then when we're in it and it doesn't feel good, then we're like, why doesn't it feel good? And the reality is we just didn't spend time really carving out, diving deep into why we wanted that.
Dude, that's so good. I love what you just said of like, was it someone else's goal that we heard? We're like, oh, that sounds good. Now let's just go see if we can do it ourselves. Like, I love that. That was really good because that reminds me of something I saw on, oddly enough, Instagram the other day, where it said people were making $1 million a year before there was $1 million morning.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there's all this pressure that the outside world can put on you of like, if you don't do this, you're never going to be successful. It's like, well, maybe you won't be successful, but I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I don't need to wake up. I don't need to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning for any damn body. First off, let me be very clear. If you expect me to be up at 4 o'clock in the morning, you have already set an expectation that ain't ever going to be touched. Because I'm not getting out of bed. I'm not doing
it. 4:20 that we get up every day.
I'm not getting up at 4:20 either. Look, nothing is important enough outside of life or death for me to get out of bed before 6 o'clock in the morning.
Luckily, we found each other.
Nothing. Now, I used to be that 5 a.m. in the morning guy, wake up, drink coffee, all that good stuff, and do my devotion in my quiet time and all that jazz. And I used to be that guy, but now that I have more time, I do that at 8:30 in the morning instead of 5:30 in the morning because I have the time to be able to do that so I can sleep more. I'm not really sleeping more right now, but you get my point. I could if my body would let it.
So I'm wondering if you just slowly add, change your work week schedule and just add 5 hours to it to keep yourself busier and see if that changes your mindset or your nervousness on things, because you're going to still be intentional in work. Your time, like it sounds like you're still going to have time for your kids in the day and the night, and just be more intentional with that as well too. But maybe just changing the pattern up a little bit and see if that's what it really was causing all this anxiety or stress in your life right now.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with, and again, this is just me like talking to a therapist, talking with my dad, all that good stuff. I think a lot of the problem that I have is, yes, I have too much time on my hand to think, but I have too much time on my hands to think and process. And I also think when I first started coaching with Contractor Coach Pro, everybody that I worked with was such a deep thinker. Like, I was like, God, these guys are so smart. If I want to get on their level, I need to be that smart. So I need to think about things as deeply as they do and slow down and blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what that ended up causing? Now I overthink every damn thing.
Too much thinking.
Right? There is a such thing as too much thinking. Like, don't overthink the smallest problem. Sometimes it really is just super simple. Like for me last night, my ears got full. Well, I haven't taken my allergy medicine in 6 days because I ran out of allergy medicine and completely forgot to go get it. So I was like, oh, my ears are full because I have my allergy. I haven't had allergy medicine. I'm sneezing and coughing and all sorts of craziness pretty much all hours of the day. Super simple, right? But it's getting back into your logical mind and understanding that, okay, let it go. Whereas a couple weeks ago, if that would have happened with not getting my brain right, I would have been like, oh my God, if your ears are full, that means you have high blood pressure. Because someone told me that one time, or I read that on Google one time, that if your ears are full, you have high blood pressure. Well, if I have high blood pressure, that means I'm going to have a heart attack. And then this is going to and then you just go down this horrible road, right? So it's, for me, it's just right now, it's just simplify the problem. Simplify the problem. And if you can simplify the problem, there's usually a simple solution that goes along with it that's not nearly as difficult as what you think it is. And I guarantee you 90% of the time you already know how to solve the problem. You just don't want to do the thing that you have to do to solve the problem because it's going to be very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think that's true. And you're taking your mind again back to peace and out of chaos.
That's right.
When we tell ourselves these elaborate stories, it feels good. I mean, it's creating an anxiety attack, but it oddly feels kind of good. Like, oh, I bet there's this big, huge problem I'm going to need to solve.
Yeah, and how selfish is that for me to think that I'm the one person on this planet that has this problem? Like, how selfish am I? Right? Like, and that's kind of what I tell myself. It's like, dude, quit being a selfish little prick. Get over yourself. And go back to spending time with your family, because your kids could care less if that's the thought that enters your head. They just want dad to come over there and play Play-Doh because we're still at the Play-Doh phase right now. They're still cute right now. That's all. They want me to go push them on the swing. So it's like, but like I said, this is that foxhole that I'm walking through, so I'm getting there. Things are getting better. I'm learning to let a lot of things go. And I'm also learning how to find peace inside of the chaos that I create for myself. Because I think peace and chaos is so important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Tommy, real quick, because we're coming to an end real fast on this, unfortunately, really good topics here. But how important is having a routine for your life and be able to keep that balance right now? Like, was it always like that? You know, you're working out, your meditation, coffee, all those things, or just something that you found over time just to keep the balance?
Yeah. So when I was in the military, I found that balance. Basically because they forced me to do it. I didn't really have much of a choice. It was you get up at this time, then you do PT, then you eat breakfast, then you do this and right? Now, once I got out of the military and I was on my own, I went straight to college. So in college, I kind of kept that same routine of I get up at 5 o'clock, I go for a run, I eat breakfast, I go to the gym, I go to school, I'm home by 1, I do homework until 5 o'clock, and then I'm done for the day. Like that was kind of the routine that I had. And then, once I got married, that routine changes. You're not in college anymore. Now you actually have to work for a living. So the routine has always been there. Like there's been certain disciplines that have just never gone away. They just fit into the system and the routine of the day a little differently, right? So like for me, the discipline of doing a devotion and journaling or meditation, whatever you want to call it, every day, that never goes away for me. It doesn't. Like I have an iPad right here and I journal on my iPad every morning. Every morning I get all of the stupid and insane thoughts in my head onto my iPad every morning and I just let it all out, right? Like that's just part of my routine. I go for a walk barefooted every morning around my neighborhood. Like that's part of my routine now. I don't drink coffee anymore. It's very sad. But I don't drink coffee anymore. I drink green tea instead, only because I just like, I don't need that much caffeine. Green tea gets the job done, right? The workouts, they just fit into wherever they can in the schedule. So I wouldn't say having a set routine if I do this at this time, this at this time, this at this time type of thing is the ticket to success. I think it's having those probably core 4 disciplines that every day we do this no matter what's happening. And for me, that's pray, journal, workout, and I go for a walk every day. Those are the 4 things. Like I have to do those 4 things every single day in order for it to feel normal.
Mm-hmm. I love those. I have those in mine as well. And they're just important to take care of yourself, to set yourself up for, and that's why I do them early in the morning. At the 4:20, but like you said, the brain dump to get everything out of your brain in morning pages and stop spinning around in your head, and just to get yourself centered, the walk, grounded, so that you can take care of yourself, fill your own bucket, is a little bit of that self-investment to try and calm the chaos. So that you can be the best for everything else.
And what I've learned is with those disciplines, you start realizing when crazy stuff happens during the day, you fall back on what you know. Right? So if like, for me, again, I'm not trying to turn this into a religious thing, but prayer is something important to me. When I get those crazy thoughts that enter my head, now my first reaction is to fall back on that discipline of prayer. Mm-hmm. To where it's just like, nope, this is not true. This isn't who God says I am. This isn't the route that I'm going to go. This is who I am. I'm fine. I am happy. I am whole and I am healthy. And we're just going to keep moving forward. And I shut it down immediately because one of the things I didn't tell you is I quit dipping 3 months ago. So just quitting that habit of 16 to 17 years of my life, that's when a lot of these crazy things really started happening, is when I got rid of that. So it's like my brain is relearning how to operate.
Yep.
From 16 to 17 years of being addicted to a substance. So
all kinds of rewiring going on. There is no
all sorts of, dude, look, I don't do things. Look, one of the sayings in our house is we don't half-ass anything, we whole-ass everything. that is literally our family motto. I wouldn't say that to the kids, but like that is like our family thing, that Alex and I do that. When we go in on something, we don't just dip our pinky toe in the pool. We jump, we cannonball in there. We send it. right? Like, and I'm sure you two are very similar to that. When we do something, we go all in.
Absolutely. Only one speed, full throttle.
Look, I'm either 0 or 100. There's no in between.
All right, Tommy. Well, I appreciate you taking time out today to talk to us and to our viewers. We wish you nothing but success with your new business journey and your birth of your new son coming up here in a few weeks. What is it, 8 weeks?
July 9th is when he's due.
Awesome.
So 8.5, 9 weeks, something like that, however long it is.
Well, that's incredible. Thank you so much. And any parting words you want to say for our viewers?
Man, just have grace with yourself. Have grace with yourself, because you can be so hard on yourself to a point where you drive yourself crazy. Every single day, no matter what day it is, every one of us wakes up a rookie. We've never lived the day that we're currently in. This day has never happened ever in the history of this planet. You wake up a rookie, understand you're going to make mistakes, and just try to learn from it and move forward.
That was a powerful ending, Tommy.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And that's another episode of In the Foxhole. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned for another episode next week.